So I'm telling my clients all the time that they need to practice on a daily basis the exercises that I'm giving them to improve the quality of their voice and to engage more effectively with their audience. But what's really key is that they have to implement those techniques into practice. They have to put them into practice. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you have a presentation, a pitch, a speech coming up, then you want to be prepared. And that means you need to not be concentrating on the content. Yes, you might have a pitch deck, cue cards, PDF handouts, etc. for the presentation. And that's great as tools to help you engage your message. But there's nothing like being able to know the content inside out. If you know what you're going to say, you can concentrate on the most important thing about your presentation, which is your audience. Your audience needs to be drawn into the vision and the passion that you have for your product or your service. And to do that, you need to present with complete focus and without distraction. Hi, I'm Jimmy Cannon, and I help people who aren't necessarily comfortable in their voice find the confidence to deliver their message with authenticity. Tip number one is stuck in the middle. Now, what I mean by that, I'm going to use a musical analogy. If you're working on a piece of music, if you start at the beginning of the piece and practice the entire piece until the end, what generally happens is that most people, at least most learners, are going back to the beginning and repeating that process. So you start at the beginning, go through all the piece, you make loads of mistakes, or sometimes you don't, and then you get to the end, then you go back to the beginning. The tricky bit in the middle that you get stuck on, hence stuck in the middle, is never going to improve. And when you get to that bit in the middle, the tricky bit, you'll always find it really hard to get over that hurdle and really to improve that. So what's the answer? Well, it's very, very simple. Instead of getting stuck in the middle, you start in the middle. So you work on the tricky bit first. Tip number two is what I'm entitling window of opportunity. And I've nicked this a little bit from Kenny Werner's Effortless Mastery, which is a great book if you're really into practicing. And as I was when I was at college, when I was learning the saxophone, I would struggle with finding the momentum and the urge and to what to practice and how to practice it. So one thing that he recommended is that you find small windows of opportunity. It might just be 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, could be 30 seconds. So for instance, if you're combing your hair, which I don't do that often, and you're in front of the mirror, then just take an excerpt of your presentation, something that you can remember or something that you need to remember, and work on that for a couple of minutes while you're, for instance, cleaning your teeth. Or in the garage. Even if you're on the beach. Or even if you're by the river. Practice it to your flatmate or flatmates. Practice it to your dog. There's actually a little bit of research that shows by practicing it in someone who doesn't judge you, doesn't give an impression or perception of you in a negative way, like a pet or a dog or perhaps a family member who is there to completely and 100% support you, that you're not going to feel self-conscious about how you're sounding, how you're looking, the content itself. You're just going to be naturally presenting that content without feeling self-judged. So in front of a pet or an animal or a family friend is a fantastic way to rehearse your presentation. Practice it also in front of the camera like we're doing now and record it and watch yourself back. Watching yourself back, as I try to do, and I hate doing it myself, we all hate watching ourselves on camera, listening to our voices, etc. But I'll probably notice that I'm gesticulating too much, so I'll probably think, right, I'm going to not do that. I'm going to put my hands like this on the table, and I'm going to start again very much like a news reporter. I've just noticed there as I put my hands on the table, that things are wobbling down. So there's always something. It's never going to be perfect. But the more you do it, the more authentic it will be. So I'm being completely authentic with what I'm saying now. This is not, I haven't got a script on this. I've got some notes in front of me, but I'm completely making this up. My point is to give yourself an opportunity as in the window of opportunity, to practice the excerpt or the whole thing or a little short section of it at the beginning or the end or the middle at any opportune moment, whether it be cleaning your teeth, in the bath, while you're asleep, probably not while you're asleep, going for a walk, etc. Tip number 3 is top and tail. Now, this is another musical terminology. I've been a singer and a saxophonist most of my life, still doing it. But the term top and tail means the top, the beginning of the piece, and the tail, the end of the piece. Now, contradictory to what I said at the beginning about not practicing the whole thing from the beginning to the end, this is a slightly different approach. So the idea with this is if you're worried about losing your place or forgetting or your mind going blank as you're speaking, forgetting what you're about to say, which I'm just about to do now. No, I'm not going to keep going. Here we go. I'm going to remember top and tail. I'm going to remember the message, the main message, which is generally at the beginning of the presentation. You're going to give a quote, you're going to give some statistics, you're going to give your message straight away. Maybe it's something controversial. So remember and practice the beginning particularly and the end. So if you get the beginning right, you're more than likely to catch up cognitively with the rest of the presentation and really focus on what the message is. So let's recap. Tip number 1 is not to get stuck in the middle of your presentation or pitch. Practice the middle section first, and then you won't get stuck on the middle. Tip number 2 is to take a window of opportunity to practice. So if you don't have the time, if you're working, you're picking up the kids, you're having to bath the kids, which I have to do this evening, cook dinner, you haven't got time, I've got a physio appointment, haven't got time really to do all this, etc. We're all really busy. Then take an opportunity like being in the car, cleaning your teeth, putting on the kettle, waiting for the kettle to boil, make a cup of tea while you're having lunch, go through the presentation, take these little windows of opportunity to get that right. And tip number 3 is the top and tail. So if you haven't got time to practice and rehearse the whole presentation, then just top the beginning, practice a little bit at the beginning, the intro. Hi, my name is Jimmy Cannon, speaking coach, etc. And then once you've done that, the nerves will reduce and you'll feel much more confident in the message and getting that across to your audience. And then also practice the end as well, so you know what the end is. And the end would be something like, thank you for listening, speak soon.